We're starting to feel the most outer bands of Hurricane Ian.
That's basically it. We have all that cloud cover, all that tropical moisture surging up from the south. That means the clouds, they're going to be with us for the next few days, and we will continue to see those showers and storms build up from the south as well. So tomorrow, it's going to be a fairly stormy day, but it's not until late tomorrow night, very early Wednesday morning, that we'll start to see our winds pick up, and we'll take a closer look at that timeline here momentarily. But first, let's bring you the latest on Ian. As of 5 o'clock, sustained winds of 100 miles per hour, making it a Category 2. Once those winds hit 111 miles per hour, that is then that mark for Category 3. Gusts to 120. The central pressure down to 972 millibars. We are expecting it to continue to intensify over the next couple of days, even as it crosses over western Cuba potentially as a Category 3, emerging into the southern Gulf of Mexico, strengthening to a Category 4. As of right now, the worst of the winds, which are located in the eye wall directly around the hurricane's eye, they're all forecast to stay offshore. So the worst of the winds from this system staying away from southwest Florida. Nonetheless, we have to remember that its impacts stretch hundreds of miles from the storm center. This is just where the center of the track is forecast to go. But again, we're going to be seeing those effects hundreds of miles away from that center line. So that's what we're gearing up for, the potential for those tropical storm conditions arriving late tomorrow night, but really being with us Wednesday into Thursday. And because of that likelihood, our watches have now been upgraded to warnings. So we now have tropical storm warnings in effect, meaning the likelihood continues to go up for DeSoto, Charlotte, as well as Lee, coastal Collier as well. Farther inland, Collier, Hendry, Glades under a tropical storm watch. And then here in purple from Sarasota County northward through Tampa, that's where those hurricane warnings are in effect, because that's going to be a little closer to where landfall is. That's where the worst of the winds are expected. Now, I also want to point out that we do have hurricane watches now in effect for Charlotte as well as Lee. So we're going to be, of course, keeping a very close eye on the proximity of those strongest winds as basically Ian runs more or less parallel to our coastline. So our biggest concerns, our biggest threats, first off, wind. I have in the moderate range because we're going to have tropical storm force winds, 39 to 73 miles per hour. But overall, it's something we can handle here in southwest Florida. As for rainfall, that likelihood is high. Flooding rain will be a concern. 4 to 8 inches will be a possibility between now into your Thursday. Storm surge, that threat will stay exceptionally high as well. We could see 5 to 8 feet of surge directly along the coastline because of the orientation of Ian to our coastline. It's basically going to shove all of that Gulf moisture directly toward the coast. As for the threat for tornadoes, you know how it is, especially on the eastern side of the storm. You could easily have a quick spin up. So that's something we'll be watching closer, especially Wednesday into Thursday as that storm is a bit closer to us. Now, because of the likelihood for that 4 to 8 inches of rainfall, no surprise that we have now been placed under a flood watch. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. Hour by hour outlook. Here we go. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's going to be what I call a squally day. Basically, the weather is going to be on the uncomfortable side. We're going to be dealing with downpours, heavy at times through the day tomorrow. And then, of course, late in the day, especially tomorrow night, generally after, say, 11 o'clock, as the system continues to move northward, that's when those wind speeds will start to increase. So heading into your Wednesday, that's when that storm is closest to our shoreline, but thankfully still forecast to stay offshore. Regardless, we're going to have those tropical storm conditions. Heavy downpours, wind gusts anywhere from 39 to 73 miles per hour. It's going to be a very gusty day heading through your Wednesday. And then improvements are expected as we push ahead to Thursday. The question is when that storm makes landfall. As to when we're going to see those improvements later in the day on Thursday. So as of right now, gear up, get ready to just hunker down and hang out, maybe watch some good movies. Tropical storm conditions expected for your Wednesday, Thursday, then Friday, just some lingering storms over the weekend. Scattered storms back in the mix as usual.
One of Florida's largest utility companies is tracking the hurricane very closely. Florida Power and Light.
Yeah, the company says it has crews 13,000 men and women on standby across the state as Ian inches closer. 12 million Floridians get their power from FPL, the midst if any utility company in the country. That's why the company is focusing on efficiency when it comes to addressing outages, not just speed. Now, what's going to provide the biggest relief with the simplest solution?
The FPL team is also operating primarily out of a control room on Florida's East Coast. It's a 24/7 operation that uses more than 40,000 devices that will track outages across the state. FPL says the control center has taken post-storm recovery times down from days to a matter of hours.
All about trying to send the right resource at the right amount of time to go ahead and get somebody to the right location. Prior to having this technology out, we would have to drive out and take a look and physically put eyes on the entirety of our power lines to figure out where the fault was.
FPL is also focused on detail and precision when it comes to hardening its system. Every address in our viewing area can be located on a screen right there in their command center. Well, if you are in Lee County and feel like you need access to a shelter, there are 20 to choose from there.
Collier County has even more, 25 in place there, including one in Immokalee. Charlotte County, there are 4 shelters where people can combine for up to 2,000 spots. You can find the location closest to you by searching for these locations on the various county websites. As Ian still rolls through the Gulf, Lee County officials are trying to stay ahead of it. After the break, what those officials are doing from Cape Coral all the way east to Lehigh Acres.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 6.
As we're all watching Ian evolving, a Monday of people preparing, governments trying to get ready, so we're all set for the storm. Thank you for keeping it here with Fox 4 News at 6. I'm Chris Earle.
And we will be there every step of the way. We want to start this half hour with the check of Ian's current location by bringing in certified meteorologist Katie Walls, tracking every movement as the storm approaches. Katie.
And what's interesting is that we're actually already starting to see the outermost rain bands make their way here into Southwest Florida. That tropical moisture already surging here into our area, even though the center of circulation is still about 150 miles to the south of Cuba. But you can see just how expansive this monster of a system is. So Hurricane Ian, sustained winds of 100 miles per hour. It's a powerful Category 2, expected to become a 3, then eventually a 4. And here's a closer look at that tropical satellite, really showing those outer bands heading our direction. All of that cloud cover will, of course, continue to increase over the course of the next couple of days. So as of 5 o'clock, by the way, we'll have another update in Intermediate Advisory 8. And then we'll also have a brand new forecast track for you tonight at 11. Gusts to 120 miles per hour. It is forecast to further intensify to a Category 3 before making landfall late tonight over western Cuba. Heading into tomorrow, it's then forecast to further intensify over the southern Gulf of Mexico to Category 4 status. And even though the center of circulation, which is what this cone is pinpointing, even though the center will stay well off of our shoreline, we here in Southwest Florida, we just saw how expansive this storm is. We will be dealing with impacts, friends. We're going to be dealing specifically with tropical storm force winds. So starting late tomorrow night after midnight, that's when we'll start to see those wind speeds really pick up. Tropical storm force winds expected Wednesday into your Thursday as well. Obviously, the threat for rainfall also exceptionally high. We're already starting to see those thunderstorms roll through, and that will only become more numerous, more widespread as we